Aries. April begins without much of a warm-up. You are immediately in the middle of it, in a phase where many things become clearer, but also come at you faster. There is very little room to ignore or postpone things. You feel quite directly where you currently stand. The background, an unusually strong emphasis on Aries. Several planets gather here and intensify everything connected to decision-making, direction, and personal initiative. This energy is not subtle, it is direct, and it asks you to take a stand. In everyday life, this becomes very noticeable. You have less patience for things that drag on. Unclear situations stand out to you more strongly. People who cannot make up their minds feel more exhausting than usual. At the same time, your own standards rise. You want to finally clear things up once and for all. That can feel productive, but it can also become draining if you try to solve everything at once. In love, this energy becomes especially clear. If you are in a relationship, what is no longer fully aligned comes to the surface more quickly. This is not necessarily about major conflicts. It is more about clarity. Conversations become more direct. You express things more clearly, and your partner responds to that. This creates closeness if both of you are willing to be honest. But it can also reveal where you think or feel differently. The key point: you are no longer willing to simply leave things unresolved. You may also feel that you need more space, or you may wish your partner would be clearer. These desires become stronger because you can no longer overlook them so easily. If you are single, your perception changes. You have less interest in games or uncertainty. You recognize more quickly whether someone is a good match for you. At the same time, you yourself come across more directly, and that can make encounters become intense more quickly. That saves time, but it can also lead to hasty decisions if you do not take a closer look. In your professional life, April becomes concrete very quickly. You feel that something needs to move. Maybe you are dissatisfied with certain processes. Maybe you want more, or your priorities have shifted. Whatever it is hard to ignore. The strong Aries energy makes you want to act, but this is also where the challenge lies. Not every decision that feels urgent right now is meaningful in the long run. Be careful not to react purely on impulse. Take a moment before you commit to something. Financially as well, there are moments when you may want to react faster than usual. You want clarity and security, but that is exactly what can tempt you to rush things. If you take one step back and briefly check what really makes sense, you will make better decisions. A central theme in April is your relationship with energy. You have a lot of it, but it is not automatically organized. If you try to do everything at once, things can quickly become chaotic. But if you prioritize, clarity emerges. As the month goes on, you will notice this. You become stronger when you act with intention. It is not about being slower. It is about being more precise. Emotionally, the month also becomes more intense. You react more quickly to things that bother you. At the same time, you recognize more clearly what matters to you. This leads you to position yourself more clearly. For the people around you, that may feel unusual, but it is honest. Around the middle of the month, these themes often intensify again. Emotions become clearer. Situations reach a peak. You may feel, now I have to decide. And this is exactly when it is important not to react only to the first impulse. If you take a moment, you will recognize the difference between short-term pressure and long-term direction. Another point that becomes important in April is your relationship with expectations. Not only other people's expectations, but also your own. You notice more quickly when you are doing something only because it is expected of you. At the same time, your need to make decisions according to your own standards becomes stronger. This can create small tensions in daily life. For example, when you pull back from situations you would normally have simply gone along with, or when you express more clearly what you want and what you do not want. Not everyone around you will immediately understand why you are reacting differently. And that is exactly where you need clarity within yourself. You do not have to explain everything, but you should know why you are doing something, because that is exactly what gives you stability. Your relationship with time also changes. You become more sensitive to what you are spending your energy on. Things that feel empty or do not move you forward stand out more strongly. This leads you to reset your priorities. Maybe you cancel certain things. Maybe you postpone decisions. Or maybe you focus more strongly on what truly matters to you. From the outside, that may sometimes seem impatient, but in reality, it is a sign of clarity. Another area where this development shows itself is your relationship with conflict. You avoid it less. At the same time, you also have less interest in unnecessary discussions. That means you decide more clearly when it is worth addressing something and when it is not. This distinction is important because it prevents you from losing your energy in the wrong places. Another point that becomes noticeable in April is your way of making decisions under pressure. Situations demand a response from you more quickly. Things do not remain open for long, but continue to develop, even if you are not yet ready to commit. This can make you feel internally pressured, and this is exactly where it becomes important to distinguish between real urgency and pressure you create for yourself. Not everything has to be decided immediately, even if it feels that way. If you allow yourself this small distance, your perspective changes. You see more clearly which options are truly relevant and which ones are only loud for the moment. Your relationship with responsibility also changes. You step into leadership more quickly, sometimes even automatically. At the same time, this can lead you to carry more than is actually necessary. It is worth consciously asking yourself, what is really my responsibility and what is not? You do not have to solve everything on your own. This realization will relieve you more than you might think at first. In your interactions with others, you become more direct. You express more clearly what you want, but also what you are no longer willing to carry. That changes conversations. Some become more honest, others perhaps shorter. But overall, more clarity emerges. And that is exactly what helps you in the long run this month. Another area that comes into sharper focus in April is your relationship with control. You may try to organize or influence certain situations more quickly than is actually necessary. When things remain unresolved, restlessness arises quickly. But this is where an important lesson lies. Not everything can be clarified immediately, and not everything has to be controlled by you. If you try to control too much at once, pressure builds. But if you allow space, situations often change on their own. That does not mean you become passive. It simply means you choose more consciously where your intervention is truly necessary. Your view of results also changes. You want to see more quickly that something is worth it. But in April, the path is not always immediately visible. Some things develop in the background. Here it helps not to see patience as stagnation, but as part of the process. Toward the end of the month, the energy begins to shift. Things become calmer, but not in the sense of standing still. You are clearer. You know better what you want. Decisions feel easier because internally, you have already sorted things out. You handle your energy more consciously. You use it more intentionally, and that is exactly what makes the difference. Aries, this month asks you to be honest. Above all, with yourself. You can use this energy to clear up things that have remained unresolved for a long time. Or you can lose yourself in it if you try to solve everything at once. The difference lies in how consciously you handle your impulse. If you direct it, it will move you forward. If reflections like these help you and you want to use them for yourself, feel free to subscribe to the channel.